pretty sizable leak just hit the Epic Games Store, and it did reveal quite a lot of information for upcoming games. Let's break down the latest around this story and what we know so far, up next. What's going on, guys? It's Kalo, and I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video, and welcome to the Level Up. It's been a while since we talked about a good old-fashioned leak in the gaming world, and today it looks like we got a pretty big haul. The story as of right now is still trickling out, and more information comes out seemingly by the minute. And many people around the gaming world are calling this leak specifically one of the biggest of its kind, and some of them are comparing it to that Nvidia leak that happened a few years back. But this story today stems from a website that launched pretty recently, and it's more or less a Steam database equivalent for the Epic Games Store. And with that launch came a slew of information that wasn't supposed to be seen by the general public. Now, since then, Epic has launched an update that blocks this information from getting out, but it's safe to say the damage was already done. And when using this kind of website, you pretty much type in a developer's name and you get a list of games that come from said publisher. The catch here being that list in question sometimes included unannounced content and games. And before we get into that big old list, we're only really gonna go over the heavy hitters here because this is a long list, but I will provide full links to any and all the games in question today. And it's also worth noting that unannounced stuff mostly lives under code names, so some conclusions drawn today is pretty much patching together prior information. But up first, a game that was discovered in this leak, albeit it's a pretty big one, was a PC port of Red Dead Redemption, living under the codename Semlaw. Now, I know it's way overdue for this title, but it's also worth noting here, some people do believe this is a Max Payne 1 and 2 remake as well. But all signs kind of point towards Red Dead 1, at least hopefully, because the file size for the PC port matches up with the PS4 port, so here's hoping. PlayStation also looks to be joining in on the fun here, and it's worth noting we all know recently they've been trying to get into the PC market, so this kind of backs this even more. The first game in question is The Last of Us Part 2, which is living under the codename Utah, and honestly this isn't too much of a surprise here, mainly because the first game is already on the PC. But the belief here is PlayStation is kind of pairing this game with the release of Season 2 of the show to kind of capture the magic the Fallout show did. Other titles from PlayStation include The Rise of the Ronin under the codename Kondo, which is a little bit of a shocker. I mean, this game just came out a few months back, and it was an exclusive to the PS5. And to my knowledge, there hasn't really been any talk of a PC port, so I'm honestly surprised here. Now, Final Fantasy games from Square Enix are also in the mix here, and those games include Final Fantasy XVI and a remake of Final Fantasy IX. That Final Fantasy IX remake has been long rumored, and it kind of seems as if this does signal it's all real. And Final Fantasy IX, to my knowledge, is often likened to be one of the best JRPGs of all time. And if they can give that same love the Final Fantasy VII remakes got, they got a certified banger there. Other games that do appear to be in the mix here are a remaster or remake of the Turok franchise, and this is all coming from Saber Interactive, and Remnant 3, which is a little bit of a shock here, since Remnant 2 launched last year, it does appear to be in the works. Now, with all that being said, I think with any and all leaks, as I always say, take it with a grain of salt, but this does kind of add up. I, for one, would love a PC port of Red Dead 1, mainly because I think they should, or they probably will, include all of the DLC. I'm talking about Undead Nightmare, which in my opinion is the best DLC of any game of all time. So, I'm gonna be looking forward to playing it, at least hopefully. But with all that being said, I'm gonna pass it off to you guys. What do you think about this leak, and are there any games on this list that I did miss? I probably did miss. That kind of catch your eye. And I know I seen the KOTOR remake on there, but honestly, I don't know if that game's real. But that about does it here. I've been Kalo. I gave you the lowdown on all things gaming, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video, and this has been the Level Up.